You know, I could go down the long list of Bernie's mistakes, and I think there will be time for that. I think Bernie Sanders made a whole lot of mistakes, but I'm not going to focus as much on his mistakes in this video. I know that there are other YouTube hosts that have been flying off the handle, calling Bernie a fraud, a sellout, all these things. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Dore. He's a friend. I consider him a friend. I'm a fan of other people that are having more harsher language about Bernie. This isn't personal against them. I like them. I like Jimmy. But I think they've all I think everything they're saying is extremely, extremely short-sighted. I think it's absurd to call Bernie Sanders a fraud. I think it's absurd to call him a sellout. I think a lot of people who mean well, including Jimmy, and I've basically disagreed with him, texting, mean well, and they have understandable anger, but they're putting it in the wrong place, in my opinion. There's plenty of things to criticize Bernie for, and I will do that. But when nobody was calling Bernie Sanders a fraud when he won Iowa, when he won New Hampshire, when he won Nevada, and when he was literally the front runner, assumed to be about to clinch the nomination on Super Tuesday. Remember, like a month and a half ago, Bernie Sanders was on 60 Minutes as the Democratic front runner. The people calling him a sellout in this live chat right now, or ranting for an hour or two on YouTube that he's a fraud and a sellout, they weren't saying that then. They quickly have fallen off. So I think there is a healthy balance between criticizing even leaders that we love. Bernie Sanders should not go without criticism. I have criticism, and by the way, we've lost subscribers and viewers criticizing him. He should be criticized. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is not without criticism. Progressive leaders should not go without criticism. But there's a difference between criticizing our leaders and holding them accountable and, frankly, jumping the shark and losing your mind. So, what do I think? I think that, to me, and obviously I can't get in Bernie Sanders' mind, I do not think that Bernie Sanders truly dropped out because he surmised, or his campaign surmised, that there is absolutely, unequivocally, no path to the Democratic nomination. I don't believe that. And based on people that I've spoken to in his campaign, remember, and this isn't a criticism on anybody. It's not a criticism on other YouTube commentators or anything like that. But I have a different viewpoint because I've been on the road for the last 5 years. Obviously at the Young Turks, now with Status Coup. You have funded that. Thank you, statuscoup.com/join. But I have a pretty healthy amount of sources in Bernie's world. And I do not think, and from what I know, the real issue is not that they did not think there was any path. Frankly, there's a healthy amount of people in Bernie's campaign, including Jane Sanders and Bernie Sanders, who aren't so sure that Joe Biden ultimately will be the candidate in November. I think you know why they have doubts on that. They, like us, have seen Joe Biden and the decline. I think Bernie Sanders, the reason he is dropping out, the true reason, is also the reason that he was never going to win. And to me, that reason is Bernie Sanders is frankly too good of a person to win. And I know that seems strange and those things seem at conflict, but let me explain. From what Bernie Sanders said, it seems to me the true reason that he is deciding to drop out is not because they don't see any path. Again, over half the states have not voted. I think he is too good a person. Bernie Sanders, unlike Joe Biden, who literally was just urging people to vote during a pandemic in Wisconsin, before suddenly finding Jesus last night on CNN saying, oh, my gut is they shouldn't have voted. Well, you weren't saying that a week ago. You weren't saying that 2 days ago. Bernie Sanders cares, truly cares about people, their health, their physical health, their mental health, their economic health. He does not want to be any reason that resources would be taken away from focusing on this massive coronavirus pandemic. He does not want to be any part of the reason for why people would get sick. But I think more importantly, he did not want to be any part of the reason why all the focus wouldn't be on the coronavirus pandemic. I don't agree with that decision. I think it's a mistake for him to drop out, and I'll tell you why. But I think that that's the reason he's doing it. And because, and you know, I know Jimmy and other people are going to call him a fraud and a sellout and be screaming to the rooftops, and that's cool. They're, you know, not so subtly critiquing people like me, you know, not by name, but saying like, oh, there's Bernie bros who will never criticizing him. No, I criticize Bernie all the time. It doesn't make me a Bernie bro to just disagree with you. I don't agree with the takes that Bernie is a fraud and a sellout. You could be an objective person and criticize Bernie without thinking he's a fraud. I just don't think he's a fraud. I don't think he's a sellout. But that good-heartedness of Bernie, that, as the Jews would say, him being a mensch, him not wanting to be the distraction right now, him not wanting to take resources or focus away from the coronavirus pandemic, which I don't think he was doing, is also why he didn't win. There's a lot of reasons he didn't win. Everybody has theories about why he didn't win. I'm going to tell you, based on my reporting on the road, in the field, and I'm sure Jen, who's in the super chat, will agree with this because she experienced it too. Bernie Sanders is politically naive. And let me tell you why. Bernie Sanders, in his gut, in his bones, whatever, believes that you can win just based on your ideas. If you have the right ideas and then you organize behind those ideas, that should be the winning ticket. If we lived in a sane system without a corrupt media, if we lived in a sane system where the media didn't collude with either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, if we lived in a sane system where there weren't media collusion, Wall Street think tanks against you, Washington, D.C. think tanks against you, cable news against you, print outlets against you, digital media against you, a 24/7 super PAC against you. And this isn't just against Bernie. This is going to be always the case against a progressive candidate for president. Ocasio-Cortez did not face that in her congressional run because she just got blacked out. She didn't face that. She barely got any media attention. Bernie Sanders was up against the biggest super PAC of all time. CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, Third Way, all of them. And by the way, the media isn't the only reason he lost. He made mistakes, and I'm going to tell you what those were. But Bernie Sanders did not realize it's not enough to win on the issues because by the exit polls, by the interviews I've done around the country, he is winning on the issues. It's not enough. You have to directly, aggressively, and loudly make the case that the guy or gal that is your direct competition is dangerous, is a threat, is a fraud, is not your friend. Donald Trump, to me, is a grave threat. But he ran a brilliant campaign in 2016 because his campaign was the emperor has no clothes. Jeb Bush, puppet. Marco Rubio, puppet. All of you, puppets. Obviously, Trump is a puppet. He's full of it. But he didn't mince words. He didn't start with, my friend.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.